Hi there. So for today's vlog, I thought that I should do a flower arrangement, mainly because I just had my daughter's wedding last weekend, so we have a lot of excess flowers, and also the flowers that were used for the wedding, they're still good, and I keep recutting the stem and putting them back in fresh water. But I thought maybe we should just do a different kind of arrangement and also take flowers from my garden, which thanks to now the cooling weather, now we have a second bloom. So let me show you what I've got, and then I want to take you through a little bit of the color scheme of what I'm doing here. So number one, what I would like to show you, so this is something I picked in the morning, and then just prep it by just putting it in, cutting the stem and putting it in cold water. So these are stems of the Lady of Shalott. So this has got a kind of an apricot peachy color of the rose. So that is going to be my starting point when I move through the color scheme of the bouquet, but I'm going to talk you through that. These are scented leaf geraniums, and I have lots of mint. Now these mints, since this is quite late in the year, they have, I'm just going to pick out one and show you. They have quite woody stems, you see that? So I actually don't need to put them in boiling water and seal the roots, because these are quite woody stems and they are going to hold, so that's fine. They don't look as fresh as they would if this were young mint, but that's fine, that's okay. So these are the ones that I'm going to use. The second thing that I collected from the garden, or the second bunch, are these actually, these ones. So these are all dahlias. So these ones, see that, that's beautiful, isn't it? I think that's called something Nathaniel, I forgot. And then you have these little ones that move towards the yellow color. This is a little bit towards the pinkish, and this is again moving towards the peach. And then I have some fennel, mainly because I really love the heads of the fennel. I tend to use them a lot in my bouquets. And then I have some basil. This is the Mrs. Burns, the lime basil. And then, because these were just really beautiful in the garden, I just picked them, but I won't use them for the bouquet. These are just some beautiful cosmos that I have, and another dahlia that's moving towards the pink. So this is going to be a different color scheme, whereas this is going to belong to this bouquet. Now, in addition to that, from the wedding itself, I have loads of little mums. So these are plain white ones. I am not quite sure if I would use the white in this arrangement, mainly because this is completely white. So unless I want like really a bit of a splash of something different in the bouquet, I would not tend to use that, but I'll keep it and just in case. And then I have the linoleum, which is a great flower as a filler, because they just look completely gorgeous and completely beautiful. And I have normally, you know, they come in blues and violets and things like that, and they're beautiful as dried flowers as well. So this can go on in arrangements, and this has got a very limey color scheme to it, which I think goes very well with the fennel. So I'm definitely going to use those. Then I have some mums. As you see, this is a very beautiful one. It's got a greenish tinge to it on the tips. I am not sure. I will hold it against the color scheme and see how it goes. The problem with these are, because I have been cutting them and recutting them, the stems are very short, so I have to see if that fits in. Otherwise I just won't use them. I think that's about it in terms of the flowers that I got. And oh yes, the other thing that I got were some olive branches from the garden with some really pretty olives on them, and which I think will add a bit of interest to the bouquet. So this is going to be a handheld bouquet, so I'm just going to hold it in the hand and turn it while I make, and keep adding things to it, flowers and foliage to it, and let's see how far we get. Let's get started. Now, the first thing to always remember when you're doing an arrangement, unless you want to go completely crazy and use all colors in the color wheel, which is fabulous as well. But that's not what I'm going to do here. What I tend to do is, what I like doing is, I take one color, one primary color, and then work around that color. So anything that is the same color but has a different shade or a different tint to it, those are the colors that I'm going to use, or maybe even the colors that are just adjacent on the color wheel. And if you're not sure, then maybe you can work with the color wheel. Just print out a color wheel and see which are the colors that are there next to each other, and they really complement each other really very well and blend together, which for me personally, when I make bouquets, I like to make them with a lot of harmony in mind, because I want my bouquets to actually fuse this harmony. So to begin with, of course, with all preparations, you need to start with the focal flowers. So in this case, for me, it's definitely going to be the rose, the Lady of Shalott. That's the first focal flower. Let me adjust that a little bit. Yeah, that's better. So that's the primary focal flower. Now remember, always, you have to always strip all the foliage that's going to be below the water, so there's nothing murky. The other thing that I might actually do, now that I think of it, is I'm probably just going to lay out all the flowers in front of me so I can pick and you can see what I'm doing. So see you in a while. So now I have everything laid out in front of me, so I'm going to begin. So I take my first focal flower, make sure that I don't have any foliage on it, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the limonium, because that has pretty color. And remember what I said about them, because they can be used as dried flower as well, which actually just means that even if they are not in the water, they would be fine. I have just cut the stem very short, so I'm not sure. But we'll try, we'll see. I've got a little beetle here. Okay, so, and then I always tend to use a lot of foliage even in the middle of my arrangement, so just so that you know, this is something I personally like to do, but then you have to decide what you want to do yourself. So the beginning part is always a little bit of a bunch that you create, where you don't have a direction as yet. You're just creating a central bunch around which you're going to start building your bouquet. So now I have this little bunch. You see, this already looks very pretty with the limonium and the two roses. And now I'm going to start turning once I keep adding the flowers. So I'm going to add a bit of fennel now, and this is going to be a relatively loose arrangement. So, and I'm not bothered about things coming out or popping out. I don't want a global like a globe shape. I just want it to be interesting and pretty and very natural looking. So this one needs a bit of editing, so take that off. And then as I add flowers, now I keep turning. So as now this part, now obviously the two flowers are this side, there's nothing that side, so I might need to add a little more foliage here to balance it out again. So then add a little sprig of the linoleum. This is going to be the main filler for me, and then I turn like that. And now I can actually add a dahlia. And so the ones that I have chosen, I'm going to add a big one in the middle, and I can see there's a spider inside that needs to go out. Come on, little bug. Okay, got that. And that's the dahlia that I'm going to use. And I'm going to use this facing inward. And you will see why this is important and not facing outward, because then it's going to just move the bouquet out and you want it in. So that's why the facing should be in. So you have that. And now I might just add a little bit of an olive branch to this. So this way, and then hold it around. Although I'm kind of sad that you can't really see the olive. So I'm wondering, yeah. Not sure, maybe this is not the right olive, so I have to probably cut a branch to make it pop. I'm not sure. As of now, I don't think that's the right choice for now. So now I have, as you can see, 1 dahlia, 2 roses, and some fennel. And now the time has come to add a little more fennel. So a bit more fennel on this side, and then turn. And I'm gonna add a bit of mint, turn, a bit of ivy that I found. Just making sure that I'm taking off all the leaves that may go below the water. This is very important. And keep checking it from the front, so you know how it's going to look like from the top. So I move it around again, and now again I'm on this part. And just notice the way I add, and now I'm going to add the flowers and the foliage. It's always going to be in one direction, and then I'm going to always move towards the left. So now I take another rose, put that there. And the rose I have to be very careful because there are thorns. So now move that, and then put a little bit of scented leaf geranium, just to cup the rose a bit. You need to give it a little bit of a support from the ground up, and then move it, and add a bit of, and now I might add this one. This is a little too yellow for me, but I'm still going to add it anyway. I think that's fine. That's going to work. And if it doesn't, I always have the option of taking it out of the bouquet. And some more of the linoleum. Move it. This kind of bouquet making is relatively forgiving, because once you're still holding it in the hand, so you can always take things out, put more things in, depending on how you feel about it. So don't be afraid to experiment. So now I can see that there are 3 roses this side, so I'm going to add a little more mint to break it. And as you see, the mint is not really perfect because the flowers have already dried. And so after the end, once it's done, I'm going to look from the top and see if this disturbs. If it does, I can always take them off. If it doesn't, I'll just leave them in, because it's also nice to have dried things in a bouquet. So move that. And this is a place where another dahlia should go in, but as I picked it and the petals are already falling, so I can't use that. And now I can use this one, but for this I'm going to separate them. So I have one here. So I'm nestling it in, and I'm putting it at an angle, and then I'm moving it. I'm gonna add some laurel, making sure I take off all the leaves. And this one needs a bit more support, so then that's where my beautiful geraniums come into play, because they are gorgeous support foliage. And then move that, and we can put one more rose in here. So you see it's beginning to take shape. So put that there, and then I can add another, or just take a bunch of linoleum. Now that's a huge bunch, so I'm going to separate them. I don't want all of them in one place. So just cut them. It's amazingly forgiving and such a beautiful, beautiful plant to work with. And just move that. You see, it's so now from the top, if I look at it, I can see that I have the roses here, so there might be one more coming this side. Well, I'll see as far as I go. So this is the basil. I'm not sure if I'm going to add it to this bunch. As of now, this doesn't have a place in the design, so I'm not going to use them for now. But a fennel head, that's lovely and beautiful, so I add it like this, and then I turn it. And now another dahlia. I turn it. This calls for a bit more linoleum, sorry. So I have that, turn it, and then another rose here, turn it. And now, if I look at it from the top, you see, it's beginning to come together. This one I can't use anymore. All right, let's take some fennel, although that's not a good one, and that needs to go off. So that's off. I'm gonna move it. Ouch! I have all the the thorns of the roses. So that's lovely. And now you see this dahlia is on this side, so I might want to put the other one on this side. So I'm just gonna take those off. Just pop that in there. Again, facing the bouquet. And turn it around. So whatever I've done, kind of moving it aside so I know what I have, what I can work with. So there's another small little fennel, but I'm going to use that later. So this one, I need some small sprigs of linoleum here, and I have another rose I can just pop in there and move this. And now I have a little bit of the mint. I'm going to add that, and always remember to add it at an angle. The reason why we do this is really so that if you have a glass vase and then you put that in the vase, and it's all going to be at a slanted angle, and it looks really beautiful and clean and has a very good finish to it, which is why we tend to do that. There is actually no other reason for doing that. So what do you think of this? It's not bad, right? I still would love to use the olives. Maybe I'll pop them in on the outside so you can still see the fruit. A bit of fennel again here. This is too small a branch to use. The olives are falling on the table. And that's the little beetle. Decided to give me company. Put that there. That's not gonna work. That's my tea. I should remember not to put the flowers in the tea. So I might add a bit of a geranium here. And because there are some leaves at the bottom, so I'm just going to use my hand and take them off until I have a very clean stem. That's how clean it should be. And put it there. And move it, and there is a lot of ouch that I should be saying, but I'm not saying it now because I'm on camera. But the roses are quite prickly. This looks quite nice for now. So I can always go in and edit. So for example, this rose needs to come out a little bit. So I'm going to loosen my grip on my left hand and just kind of wiggle it out a little bit, instead of trying to yank or anything. So, and now a little more of geraniums. I'm trying to see where I can pop that in. So moving this around, I have to be very careful because of the roses. So, okay, that seems to be good. So this is then, I think, the very important part, and this is something really, I mean, I find myself in a big dilemma, is knowing when to stop because I really get very carried away. Now, if I look from the top, right, from this angle, sorry, and I can see that some of the bigger leaves are actually in the way and are disturbing the flowers. So I just went in with my secateurs and just removed this leaf, and that kind of brings out the rose here because it was covering up the rose, and I don't want that. I want the flowers to have center stage, and the foliage are just the players that are supporting, the supporting actors, so to say. So you have that. Yeah, I think now we are kind of ready to go. So the next stage would be, I'm just gonna clean this up just a little bit. The next stage would be to cut. And if you already know what flowers you're going to use, so I have this one, and I have to cut the bottom. So first I make a straight cut, and then I go and cut at an angle, especially the wooden ones, the thicker ones, the dahlias, the roses, anything that needs a little bit more water, a little more surface for the water to. So you could tie this around. I don't want to do that, and I think I might just a little bit more. Again, just like at that angle. Okay, then just going to pop that in and then let it fall. And normally for me, this is something I really like to do, is I really like it to spill out a little bit, and then you can start adjusting again and adding, of course, a lot more water to it. So there you go, a pretty early autumn flower bouquet with flowers from the wedding as well as from my garden. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.